Candles burn in the pitch black. Hymns of unknown origin and forgotten tongues echo through the chasm. A single figure, clad in gold, holding a censer which swings slowly from side to side. Its smoke billows out, and it is the only thing with you in the deep. Hey, welcome back to Lemon Courage. This time we're taking on the Apostle of the Deep, a model made by the White Werewolf Tavern. This gorgeous model shows off beautiful contrast between religious iconography and Lovecraftian terror. It's also our first time painting something from White Werewolf Tavern on this channel. I hope I do them some justice with this model. This video is going to be about three things: leather textures, non-metallic metals, and object source lighting, coming from this censer that's going back and forth, and these sweet little candles that are melting on top of the skulls by the feet of the apostle. As we go, I'll explain my process and my thinking on how to get these really cool effects to pop on your minis. As always, if you enjoy the process, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to be part of one of these videos, keep an eye out for one of my posts before I go live on Twitch. You can hop on, join the chat, maybe even be featured in a video. And if you want more Lemon Courage, come find me on Patreon, where I've got some behind the scenes, I've got a Discord channel, and I've got all kinds of other goodies for my fans. Now then, let's get some paint on that brush. I've reprinted it in one solid piece. It's much more durable, I think, and it will drive me a lot less crazy. Also, I now have like a better idea of what I was going to do with the model in the first place. Yeah. Also, I managed to record the 3D printer making these files. So if you ever want to like see what that looks like, I've got a file I'm putting together that actually has, sorry if you see me with a knife, I'm just picking off the residue from printing. Sometimes there's these tiny little, like, tiny little bits. I don't even know if you can see it, but I gotta pick them off because they'll stand out when I'm painting. Anyways, if you want to see the printing process for these guys, I have that video. It's 9 hours long, so you know, watch at your own risk. Viewers beware. The piece that was falling off, I can show you, assuming I can find the piece that actually fell off. But I'll show you with my knife. So here's the model, and right here where my knife is, that's where the model was separating, and like this wrist here, and that's where the model was separating. Gluing it there was a disaster. Don't get me wrong, I still absolutely love, I can't remember if this is Flesh of Gods or if this is Beastarium. Or it might be White Werewolf Lodge. Anyways, oh, that reminds me, I gotta change my my stream details. But yeah, that wrist kept on just falling off, and I don't know what to tell you. I just was like done with it. I was just like, take this away from me, because I just can't be spending, you know, however much time I'm going to spend painting just to have to like re-glue stuff over and over and over again. So yeah, the sturdier way is always to print it as a solid piece. The reason why you don't always do that is because pieces can be difficult to what I call unwrap, which means like removing the supports. But yeah, so I'm redoing it this way and just starting from scratch. And for anyone who's out there who's working on a project where you're just like, dear God in heaven, take this thing away from me, I fully understand. And there's some great value in like knowing how to step away from something that's giving you, you know, suffering. I'm gonna grab my little napkin. The accelerant that I use for the glue can cause some weird effects on my plastic mat. So I just gotta get this thing a little bit of protection. And I'm using the BSI Bob Smith Industries Instaset. And the glue I'm using is just like Gorilla Glue, like cyanoacrylate. Cyanoacrylate, by the way, is like the default super glue. And this stuff just makes it like, I've squirted it, and you wait for a couple seconds, and it's not coming off. Except in the case of that stupid wrist, which is, again, why I'm not messing with that anymore. By the way, if you ever want to be on the stream, I have this like fun setup. I can show you what it looks like. Oh, it's not quite this. It's similar to this, but not quite this. Where like this little icon here moves around as you talk. I think Irene has been on before. She's had a chance to see what it's like. I'd love to have you guys on just to chat with me while I paint. Yeah. So, part 1, gluing it together. Part 2, I need to turn on my airbrush and I need to prime this guy. So that's just going to take a second. Headphones off. You might be able to hear my printer going on in the background. That is because it's printing. Let me grab my... So I have this set up so that I've got the pressure valve here for my airbrush, and I just like hang it on the side of my desk. And then I have the actual airbrush. This thing. I call this my donkey. I love him. Donkey is a loving name, not a hateful name. And it is because Donkey does all the hard work. I have other airbrushes, like I have an Iwata, which is the industry like best, and I've got a crappy one from Mastercraft. So I have other options, but this is got what's called the gun profile. So that means it's got a trigger and a handle just like a regular gun does. And when I'm priming up a bunch of models, which can take a while, and I like need to go like over and over again, doing this with my hand in this position for 20 minutes is a whole lot easier than... I'm going to show you another one of these. Sorry about that. It's a whole lot easier than doing the same thing with this. This is the Iwata. This is an incredible airbrush, but I treat the Donkey much worse than how I treat this, and also doing this for a long time can be exhausting. Especially when I don't need to care about like precise control. I'm just priming. I mean, there's not much else to it. This is my primer, Vallejo Mecha Color. Yeah, big fan of it. It's got the right consistency that you can just kind of go straight from the bottle into the airbrush, which is really nice. Also, some airbrushes have a some formulas have a tendency to gloop up, like become super thick. And this one, at least so far, has been really good for me. As always, remember to glove up. It is an important thing to do. I reuse these gloves, and I'm using it to keep the paint off my hand, so it doesn't matter if I, reuse a glove or blow it up or whatever. Yeah, safety first. Exactly. Alright. This is the model. Try holding it for you so you can actually see what I'm doing. asked the other day, does it have to be black? Like, is there a value add to it being black? And, like, I gave an okay answer, but I think there's a better answer I can give, which is the primer has to be some color. The primer is what makes the paint stick to the plastic in the first place. There's some plastics that paint will stick to nicely, but generally you need to prime first. And the black provides a nice base for this simple reason. You may not be able to get your brush into every nook and cranny when you're painting. There's just going to be spots that are hard to hit. And if they're black and you miss them, then they just look like very dark shadows. And that's excellent. Like, that's absolutely fine. Alright, that's all the priming I need to do for this. I do have other models, you know, to prepare, but they'll be coming on later on. It's going to dump out the... Oh, there's not even that much left. I'll spray it through. What I did last time was I was just kind of having fun with my paints, and I primed them. So after priming, you do something called Zenithol, and the Zenithol is like it's a form of painting. I'll show you on this model. The idea is that you hit the model directly from above, or in the areas that you want to generate significant interest, and you use a lighter color just to sort of bring out the textures, bring out, you know, all of the focal points that you're going to paint. And normally you use white. Normally it's used for slap chop, which is a different style of painting than what I do. But I find it really helpful because it acts like a map. So I can just sort of go by the light areas, and those are the parts that I'll paint light. And I just was having fun with doing the green, so I'm going to keep it up because it's my favorite green. I don't get to use it enough. So I'm just going to spray out a little bit of cleaner. It comes out black because there's already black paint inside, but the cleaner is doing its job, I promise. Over on my right, you can't see it, but I have this little pot that was it's designed for me to sort of spray into infinitely. So my little motor can keep on going, and I can spray until I'm clear, which is pretty close. It's clear enough for me anyways. Now I need to get my green, which I like to use. Where is it? Why can't I see it? Come on, green. Where'd you go? It is MIA, which is unusual. Give me just a moment, and I promise you I'll find it. Because I thought I had eyes on it just a second ago. But maybe I don't. Oh! It fell in my trash bin. Poor thing. This is it. This is my favorite green. Kraken's Skin. And as you can see on this little head that I have stuck on top, this is how the paint actually looks when you apply it. It is just so fun, so bright, just an awesome color, and it's got excellent coverage, so it's not like you have to apply 100 layers. The way I have these caps set up, to give you a comparison, is I spray the top white first, and then I apply the paint. So here you're seeing comparison of like the green versus a speed paint, which is designed to go in the recesses and stuff. So I use these little caps so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Yeah, yeah. Carol, exactly what you're talking about. Except imagine if on top of every nail painting bottle you had a plastic nail where you applied the polish and then you just like know what it looks like, so that you're not looking at a bunch of bottles like with a bunch of white or black caps. You're looking at the sample and you can see exactly what you're going to get. Yeah, the swatches are really handy, although I like to actually have it on the bottle. Okay, a little bit of green. These paints come out thick, so they need to be thinned down with some airbrush thinner. Should be enough. Yes, I know it looks very black in there, but it's going to transform. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got. Looking at the spot on my hand. Alright, that's pretty light. I like that. And so, just like what I said, I'm spraying from above. Trying to do all the call-outs of the textures and all that. And that's also why I do this on a lazy Susan. I know that this oh shoot, what's it called? The thing that this person's holding, it's usually made of metal and there's smoke coming out of it, and it's like popular to you'd see it in church pretty regularly. I'm blanking on the name. That's gonna be producing light, so I need to have that lit up a little bit more, so that I can like emulate that. The rest of this can just be beautiful. Again, I'm not using this for speed painting. I do not need... Yes, a censer, that's what it is. I don't need this to be super bright. I don't need it to be white or clear or clean or whatever. I just need a rough idea. I know that there's light coming from here. Oh, let me get back into the middle frame. From the censer, there's light coming. There's going to be light coming from this like environment down onto this part of his head and these tentacles and stuff, and this part of the sword, and then along the black. So this cloak is going to get a good amount of light. Over here, this is going to be a dark section. And similarly, just because it gives a much nicer contrast, where this is light on the bottom, this up here on this side of his face is going to be dark. And I think that will add a lot to the drama of this model. So that's the plan. That's what we're doing. Priming is done. I'm just gonna clean my airbrush a little bit, and then we'll get right into painting. While I do that, does anyone have any questions or any shout outs they want to do? Happy to hear, happy to chat. It's gonna take me a second to clean anyways. If not, you know, you just vibe to the music. This music, by the way, is... Will this be haunting my dreams from a D&D campaign? No. Well, not one of mine. It might haunt your dreams for different reasons, because it's kind of reminiscent of, like, certain, you know, Catholic things. But it's not from one of my stories. Although it could be. It would be lots of fun. Alright. Last little bit of cleaner. that's that. Let me just pop these off, go and turn off my air compressor, and put everything back. Actually, I can leave them on. Okay. This goes back over here. This gets put away on my shelf of airbrushes that I keep in the back. I'm going to take this one back as well that I used as a demo. And this one, still connected to the hose, just goes on the rack. Easy peasy. And now we can get into painting. So the way I did this model the first time around, what I did was I used, where is it? I store my paints in these kinds of things. I print them up, they're very handy. And they help me sort of build a palette around a model, so I know what I'm going to be doing. So I usually start, I always have a black. Right now I'm doing the scale color black, so this is, the scale color is just flat black. And then I started with petroleum gray, which is a really fun color to start with because it's so dark. But having done this once before, I already know this is actually darker than what I need. So I'm going to move up a color and not use the petroleum gray. Instead, I'm just taking a perusal of what I have. Instead, I think I'm just going to start with brown gray, also from scale color. And then for highlights, I'll move into rainy gray. That'll be like the light section. So the dark section will be the brown gray, the light section will be the rainy gray. And then for detailing and micro scratches and all that other good stuff, I'm going to be using this tar brown, which if you're familiar with Games Workshop paints, it's very similar to like what is this? Flayed One Flesh. It's very similar to that. So, plans in place. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to put this guy in the holder. Oh wait, I'm going to remove the glove because I don't need it. Not anymore. Put this guy in his holder. And I am just about ready to just get started painting. At the start, it's going to look a lot like cell shading. Like it's going to be very plain looking paint schemes. And that is because I'm just starting with the light and dark. And I'll worry about texturing, shading, and all the other ings later on. But to start, I want a brush that's nice and big. There goes my voice. These are all small. This one isn't so bad. I do not need this yet. That's a dry brush. Yeah, hydration, right? All of the paints should look slightly opaque. Because the idea for mini painting is that you really want, there we go, that's my winner. You really want a flat finish on pretty much everything. You very rarely want a glossy finish on mini painting. Okay, I have the classic problem of people who sometimes struggle to stay focused, which is junk everywhere. Airbrush thinner I don't need. Thinner medium, yes. Always keep a white on hand. Always keep a black on hand. And otherwise, go nuts. Don't do crimes, but go nuts. Okay, so we're starting with this. It's a good size brush. It's a 0. It's going to get enough coverage that I can really bang out a lot of stuff really quickly. And I can just get right on into it. So, dark sections first with the brown gray. I'm going to throw it on the vortex mixer. You've gotten like a nail appointment, but this is pretty much a an ASMR throwback to your nail artist doing your nails. You've probably all heard this thing before. All right, brown on the palette. Surprisingly still wet. I like to mix my waters separately. So I apologize for what you're about to see because my palette's pretty messy, but over here's my paint, and over here is some water. It's in a pool, you can't really see it from where you are. So if I bring in a bit of water, a bit of paint, and a little bit of this white stuff, which is acrylic medium, it just adds body to a paint. Then I end up with this nice medium thin layer. Because I'm going to need a lot of it, I'm just going to fill up on the actual paint, fill up a little bit on water, and I'm going for like I always describe it as a soy sauce. I'm kind of going for like a soy sauce consistency. It's got a little bit more surface tension than water, not as thick as milk, and like semi-translucent. So that's looking pretty good to me. Oh, sorry, your eyes. Alright, we're doing darks first. So I'm just going to literally find all the parts that are dark. And it's almost like painting by numbers. Just get in there. Yes, I know this paint is very thin. It is one of the things I learned about working with scale paints, this brand, is that they really like thin down paints from the get-go. But there's just the way they build on each other, the way they layer up is just very, very nice and easy to work with. And you'll see it as I get more layers down, because right now this is just the initial layer. You're not going to be able to see much, but you will once we get a little bit further in. I think I need to get a little more light in here. Yeah, I do. Give me one moment, guys. I gotta pop up. Aziz, more light. If you've seen that movie. Yes, whatever isn't light green is what I'm painting over right now. Let me see if I can pull in a little bit more so you guys can really get a good view of what I'm doing. And I'm just focusing on the robes right now. These thin coats of paint, what's nice about them is that they dry pretty quick. So I'll be able to go back over what I just painted in about a minute or two, once they've had a chance to settle, to dry. this whole inside of the cloak, because there's almost no light getting to it. It's just going to be dark. That's why you want a brush that's a little bit bigger, is because there's just a lot of ground to cover. And I don't go much bigger than a 0, just... I find I just end up making too much mistakes. I'm spending more time cleaning up than I am actually painting the model. Yeah, it's a sweet camera. I've got this friend, Chris. Shout out to Chris if you're there. Who has loaned me his camera for this endeavor of, you know, painting on stream and making YouTube videos. And it's a Sony a6000. Boy, oh boy, is it a good camera. A little bit aged in terms of like modern, you know, quality of life stuff. But seeing as how I'm like, first of all, I'm savvy dealing with those kinds of issues. But on top of that, like, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a great camera. I love these kinds of like synth beats. Make me feel like I'm totally in the zone. It's good to be here with you guys in the zone. Yeah, you can see it. You can see the gray, like, or this dark brown color really does come together. It just takes a couple of coats, and like I can understand someone looking at this paint for the first time and being like, "Ah, this is crap. I don't like it," because it doesn't cover all that much in the first coat. But you just need to trust. It's kind of like if you've ever gotten into illustration, specifically if you've gotten into marker illustration, then you know Sharpies have a really, really strong first coat, but they don't blend with anything. They don't. You can't blend a Sharpie to save your life. You can do pointillism, or you can do like some other visual trick that will make it look more like it's blending, but Sharpie does not blend. It just does a really solid like first black coat. Yeah, chalk and pastels can be like that too, yeah. This, again, it's slower, it's more coats, but it blends beautifully. The other thing too is I'm painting onto black. So like, part of why I use these colors when I'm doing my dark tones, I still want to keep the really black, you know, recesses and stuff. I want that to be still visible. Getting enough of a build-up in the gray that the gray is starting to match the luminosity, which is the brightness, of the green highlights, which means it's about time for me to switch over to the lighter gray that I'm going to use for the other part of the cloak. That's my indication, by the way. That's my my indicator. I pick a color that I can see on the model and I work upwards to that. When I have achieved that color, I know to move on. And even now, kind of getting to the point where it looks kind of samey in terms of like lightness and darkness. But I still have a fair bit to do on the inside of the cloak. That's expected, you know. It is the inside. Sorry, give me a moment while my brain shuts off and my hands take over. Okay. Cloak, I'm happy with that. That is a good base coat for the dark sections. Time to move on to the light sections. So this part is going to be, I'm attacking the green parts with the lighter brown. I'm going to put this guy on his side so that you can look at him while I do you know I intentionally picked a glass jar for this so that you guys can hear the clinking? My friend Irene told me to make it as ASMR as possible. Alright. This is my next color. Rainy Gray. This all comes from a grayscale set that Scale Color did, and they're just all so much fun. Rainy Gray, here we come. Same process as before. I'm going to pick a spot. I'm not going to show you again this time because my palette is kind of crazy to look at right now. But here comes that rainy gray all over the green sections. And look how much lighter it is right from the get. And I'm going to do a couple of coats of this as well. You can already see like where the darker one was struggling because it's being painted straight on black. This, which is being painted on the green, is having a much easier time with coverage and with fill. I like to paint this, by the way, where my pinky and my thumb are holding hands. And I do that because it helps me stabilize my hands while I'm painting. Sometimes I use a different kind of grip that has like a little bar I can put my hands onto. But if my pinky and my thumb are holding hands, it means I'm supported. Moment. I forgot to tell my friends on Discord that I'm going to be on. Yeah, you always need a good anchor. Whether it's physical or non-physical, it does not matter. Cool. And you can see, like, already you can kind of tell the light parts from the dark parts, and it's going to make this much easier to paint on and identify like what I'm trying to accomplish. Because while yes, you are, drawing with your brush, because all, everything, a lot of different art forms, when you break it down, is really just drawing with a different tool. Oh, my print is done. Nice. Having a guide to go by makes it much easier. Oh, I'm off camera. No. I meant the green. The green is my guide. I'm not using a how to paint guide or anything like that. If anything, I'm making it. This is the how to paint it. I'm more just giving you guys tips for when you're painting your own minis, ways that you can, use your preparation and your color to your advantage. Apologies, I'm doing my best to keep my hand out of the being in the way. It's a little difficult. I'm telling myself not to do any fancy tricks while I'm here. I am just trying to get the base coat down. But of course my hands wants to do tricks. They want to start doing texturing. I'm like, no, don't do it. Resist. Where are my glasses? I should be wearing them. It would help a lot. Guys, it is so much more fun to be painting this model when things aren't falling off. I can't even begin to describe. We're getting a very nice, already, like a very, very nice mixture of lights and darks on this cloak. And I'm very happy with that. It means that the masking was done right. Yeah, I can celebrate a little. Now I do have a tendency to do each section of the model till it's just fully complete, which is funny because that's not how I do it in real life at all. When I'm painting on my own, I'm not on stream. I just kind of go wherever my heart takes me. But when I'm on stream, I find that I'm trying to like edit together videos later on, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna make this whole section, and it's just gonna be the cloak. Haven't gotten around to adding chapters into my YouTube videos yet, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking of it. All right. Good coverage, good coverage, good coverage. It's all about good coverage. Just need to get into these higher parts of the cloth. Apologies. I was not in frame. Stupid little bit of smoke. Making my life difficult. And all of this, I haven't actually mixed very many colors. This is still just 2 colors, not including the green that I used for my highlight, or sorry, for my, what do you call it? Masking? Pre-shading? You know, planning. Alright. I've got my base coat down. I'm pretty happy with it. Just going to try and get a little bit more of this lip back here, where I still have some green to capture. But that is okay. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump in textures. Cloth is all about fun textures, and it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. Oh, sorry, some more green back here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and it's just going to be texture, texture, texture. I'm going to come in with a really light color. I'm going to thin it down even more than what this is, like even more thin than what I'm currently doing. And I'm just going to put in scratches and textures and make it look like a worn leather cloak, because after all, that is what I'm going after. I mean, we're already kind of there with some of these colors, but
I want more. Yeah. Okay. Let's... Oh, whoops daisies. Clumsy hands. Let's get this die down here so I can change some colors. Okay. For our little scratches, I'm going to be using this tar brown. I think it's going to work well. I'm going to be using a finer brush. So this was what I did for my base coats. It's okay. But I can be doing... Oh, hold on. Move you. It's okay. It's a 0, not a double 0. But for the micro scratches, I'm actually going to come to this, which is technically a 1, but it's got a sharper tip. And part of that is that the body of the brush bows out and then comes to a sharp tip right at the end. And that's what I'm going to be relying on in terms of like getting some little textures in there. I'm starting with big texture. I'm starting with a larger brush, but I'm going to switch down to a 3-0, which has a very fine tip. I don't have any of those itty bitty tiny, like, I think I've got a couple of them, but I almost never actually use these. They are too sharp. Just too sharp. And then again, we'll see where we end up. So, let's get some tar brown down. And we can start making some character, getting some interest into this model. Because right now we just kind of have highlights and lowlights. But we want more than that. Ooh. Oopsie daisies. Poured a little bit more than I needed. Oops. Alright, here we go. Sharp tip. And let's start right over here. Again, thumb holding your pinky, so you got a little bit of stability. And I'm just going to... That's too much. Stipple on some little details. This is a part where I kind of wish I had my glasses on, because it would undoubtedly help. This is the part where I usually end up being quiet, just because I'm, you know, really thinking about what I'm trying to accomplish. And just getting right in there. I'm putting a lot of focus into this back part because the back part is just so visible. So is anyone getting up to anything fun in the holidays? Anyone have big plans for New Year's? This is the kind of stuff that we chat about when we're hanging out painting. Either that, or do you have any new models that are coming out recently that you're really excited about? Personally, I've been following there's a company called Games Workshop that make a game called Warhammer. If you know me, then you know that I'm a big fan of that game. And they recently had this event, this annual event called Grotness, where they kind of like come up with a lot of fun content to put out. I'll be honest, this year, kind of mid. Not great. Last year, wild. But this year, kind of whatever. You know, a little bit of a take it or leave it. In this case, kind of leave it. I'm gonna have to take a break soon, because soon I'm gonna have to go and have my lunch. Got some Thai food coming in and I'm very excited. I've got this printer line that has gone across the back of this cloak, and I'm just kind of leaning into it. It makes for a cool line, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's keep with it. regardless if I'm going somewhere that's like dark or light, I always like to make the edges pop. And it's something that has to do with, you know, the silhouette of the model that you're painting. You always want the silhouette to really shine. Because no matter how much paint you put on, or how you paint it, or whatever, no matter how much you do to your model, you will not be able to change the sculpture of it. I mean, unless you're doing sculpting with like green stuff, but that's a different kind of thing. If you're just using paint, there's no way you can change the underlying sculpture. So you should always find ways to accentuate it. Right now I'm doing these kind of zigzags off in various different directions, and the reason for that is I find that what makes fabric really stand out is that it can have movement. Like, there's movement that's obviously contributing to the way the fabric is laying on the model, but there's also movement that indicates a history of how the fabric has been used. I'm not making up a whole history here. I'm just making these random lines and markings because they give that indication of like this fabric has a history. History of being cut, of being mended, of all kinds of things. Alright. I'm going to come back in with an even lighter color using a very small brush and accentuate some of those micro scratches. So for the lighter color, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring in matte white and mix this into the pigment I already have. And it's just going to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter, and a little bit more fun. Pops it up just a little bit. I don't need a lot, just a little will do. Because I'm not using the pure white, I'm mixing the color. So what you're going to want to do is you want to figure out your line, carve it in just a little bit, and then make your shapes. Let me see if I can zoom in even more. Make your shapes underneath where you painted. So this is my line, right here. Make that line, and then make a couple of shapes underneath. This is going to be what gives you that history. I'm going to do a little bit of this, and I'm going to take a break to go and have my Thai food. And then I'll pop back on probably at 4:30-ish and continue painting this model. Whoops daisies. You do want to like hold your brush so that you're going from like the pointy side is where you start, and then you draw away with the pointy part being back here. So like these little movements, and they're little movements, they're not big. If you screw up, it's fine, just use your thumb, wipe some stuff off. And yeah, little movements is all you need. And if you line them up nicely, that's how you get the indication of like a crease that goes across the back. Which is a little tip if you're ever doing freehand painting. Bit more paint. You want to keep your paint pretty wet. It doesn't have to be thick. You're not looking for crazy coverage. It does need to be wet. Otherwise it won't go on smoothly and you'll be spending forever trying to make your marks stick. Hope that you're able to see the details I'm dropping in. When I come back at 4:30, 4:40, I will have my glasses, and some of this will be easier for me to do. Already we're getting a nice texture out of this. It's looking more and more like leather, like a worn coat. And what I'm gonna do probably is I'm gonna make little nicks using a darker color to indicate where damage is actually taking away the luminosity instead of adding to it. All right. I'll see you back in about 20 to 30 minutes after I've had a chance to have some lunch or dinner, or whatever you want to call it. I really wish I had a... Oh, you know what? No, I don't have anything handy I can print right now. But I'll see you all soon. Logging out for now. Bye. I'm back. Just gonna send some messages to some folks, just so that I can re-advertise that I'm in and around, out and about. All right. We're back on. I'm going to pick up from where I left off, which is we were doing highlights. So I'm looking at this, and I realize I actually do want a little bit of color. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some color. Not much, just a bit. I'm going to bring in some of this. Yeah. Layered one flesh. Because I think that this is going to give me what I want. Oh. Right. This can go back. This can pop in. And I can hop back in with my super tiny brush. There we go. Oh! I gotta stop doing that. One day it will break. Back to doing textures. And I'm just... Hey, Andrew! Love to see that you're on the stream. Once again, tiny little brush strokes, tiny little textures. That's all we're looking for. Take your time, find what you enjoy, and just keep doing it. I'm using the shapes that I did before the break as a guide. Again, like everything's about like finding ways to give future you hints about what you want to get out of your painting. I might have to zoom out a little bit. Kind of in. I mean, I'm in tight enough that you guys can see what I'm doing, which is great. But give me a moment. I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bit more brought in, you know? Transform, stick this into the center. Okay. And then here I can zoom out. There we go. Sorry about the shaky camera. It is my setup not being fully, perfect yet. If you're just rejoining or you're just joining for the first time, we're painting this kind of weird and messed up priest, and we are and we're just pouring in some details to this leather cloak. If anyone's ever owned a leather jacket, then you know it is just heaps of textures. Is anyone in the audience a painter themselves? Love to hear what you're working on. Oh, also, I've got my glasses now. I can see what I'm doing. It's so much better. Hell yeah. Yeah, if you haven't got some painting done in a little while, it's the holidays, the best time for it. You can always grab something and grab your brush and paint along with me. What I'd love to do at some point is like make these, like, set it up so that you guys have these models in your own hands, and then we're literally painting together. I would love that. These tiny brushes trend to the. Oh, okay. No, that's just lag. The video on my face will come back. How do I know this? I have my own stream open, so I can watch what I'm putting out onto the web. That was one of the first things I learned when I started painting. Was that I need to be able to see what I'm putting out there, because I didn't know. And the first couple of streams that I did, I don't even have archives of them anymore. I think they're long gone, but they were so unstable, so shaky. I didn't know what was going on. Of course, it turned out the issue was that my computer was using Wi-Fi. I'm in a basement right now, and the router is like a floor away from me. Enough that my computer was just not able to connect and give me that kind of bandwidth to do streaming. Felt foolish. Ever since then, I keep the stream open on my own computer. I am one of the viewers. It's back! I told you to be back. I ain't no fool. Also, you might be hearing this in a wild order because there's a bit of a lag there is a lag between when I get your messages and when you hear me responding to them, which I think is very funny. Feeling good about the textures that I have on now. Of course, there's always more you could do, but as someone said, you also need to know when to stop. Time to stop isn't quite here. I'm painting a section that's, I think, very hard for you guys to see. And there's just not much I can do about that. It's because it's underneath the higher cloak, you know? Okay. I'm feeling good about this fabric. This is good. I can continue. We're going to move on. Actually, I'm going to give it a quick coat of a wash. And just clean my brush. Always very important to clean your brush. If you don't already have some brush soap. I don't even have the lid for this. That's okay. I do. It is a specific brand of brush soap. I just don't know what it is offhand. Oh, the Masters, of course. It's great. It works. Just make sure you take care of your brushes. It's the same with nail polishes and really any activity. When you've got a tool that you're using that's really important for that activity, take care of it. No amount of good paints is going to save you from a bad brush. When I say bad, I don't mean poorly designed. I mean not well taken care of. Okay. I would like to use these containers for washes, so I'm going to. And here we go. The wash I'm using is from Vallejo Flesh Wash. It's reddish. What more do you want? And that'll help a lot with the theming because I plan to paint some elements of this model red. That's enough. Come in with our large brush. Just slap that stuff on. What it's going to do is it's going to leave just a slight tint of red. It'll sit in the recesses, which is nice. It'll even out the highs and lows, which is great for fabric. And kind of pulls the whole thing together. If you ever find yourself where you're painting with a bunch of different colors that are like not thoroughly, aligned, they're not all red, they're not all blue, they're not all green, a wash can be a good way to bring it all back. In terms of applying the wash, it's just a matter of getting it on. I don't worry too much about what if there's too much on, because what you'll see me do is I'm going to come back in. Oh yeah, and also make sure to wash the black parts. Just because they're black doesn't mean, like, you may not be able to tell in the moment, but your eyes and your lizard brain will be able to tell if there's a bit of red in the black. Anyways, I don't worry too much about there being too much wash on, because I'm going to come back in with a different brush, or actually no, the same brush with like clean, and I'm going to basically scoop off where the wash is too heavy. Like in those areas I just did. Those are going to need to be rescued. Okay. And now, quickly wash that brush, come back in, now that it's dried, and I am wiping away the parts that are too saturated with wash. Cool. When that all dries, that'll look really nice together. And I can come back in with other colors to really brighten it up. But it's not going to end up being the brightest part of the model, even though it does seem like that right now. Next up, we're doing the gold. So gold is a funny one. I'm going to grab a metallic paint so I can show you and talk a little bit about gold. That is my water, not my cleaning jar. Okay. So I have a gold ring. And if we look at this gold ring, I'm trying to look at it in a way that doesn't have my fingers showing. If we look at this gold ring, what are the colors we see? Obviously we see the colors in the elements around us, but I'm seeing like a greenish brown, white, like a fair bit of white, and black. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want the greenish brown for sure, the white for sure, and I'm going to go for like a very, very dark red instead of black. Or actually, maybe what I'll do is a very dark red and a very dark blue, the same way that I did on the cloak, of like the light parts are one gray versus another gray. I'm gonna do a dark red versus a dark blue based on like whether something is in the light or not in the light. That's how I'm gonna do it. And then we'll work on the highlights and the shiny bits later on. But if you're not sure how to do your non-metallic metal, just grab a reference. Grab something that is the metal you want to represent and go from there. So for my dark red, I'm going to use burnt red from Vallejo. And for my dark blue, I think I just bought this. The dark blue gray from AK. And we're going to start dark. And then we'll work up to the light. Because metal is different than leather. With metal, you kind of have to start with everything dark and then you make your highlights where you want them. as opposed to leather where you start with lights and darks and you kind of make transitions between the two. Okay. Bit of red. Red is for the light areas. Let's remember that. Obviously not you, me. I have to remember that. Coming back in with that larger brush because I want good coverage. I got my own water. I'm gonna thin it out to that soy sauce consistency. I need more water on the palette. I mix in my own water because pouring water directly onto a paint has gone wrong too many times. So now what I do is I go back and forth with my brush between the paint that I'm thinning out and the water source. And of course, if the water source is just absolutely overdone, then I start a new water source. So these gloves are metal. So the whole hand is going to be metal. That is fine with me. This is not a scale color brand paint, so it will have significantly more coverage than the other one. Again, I am just looking for where is it green. I'm not worrying about basically anything else. Keep it simple. Don't confuse yourself. And we're gonna talk about this element here as well, because it's gonna be where our light is coming from. Doing my best to not ruin the cloak I've already done. But not everything can be saved. Okay. Oh right, and also the gloved hand and this other sword. interesting. The back of the sword is actually lighter than the front of the sword. It's okay. Alright, we've matched out our reds with where the green was. Now we're going to come in with the blues and do the same thing for where it's... Oh, shoot. Top of the sword still. Okay. Now we're going to do the same with the blue to get our cool darks for the gold we're going to do. I haven't actually used this paint yet because I just repurchased it. I'm sure it'll be great. Lighter than I thought it would be. Let's try just a bit of it and see how it is before I fully commit. Too thin. I think it'll be okay. Try and get right underneath for some of these plates. I think the blue's actually working quite well. It just looks very light when it's wet, but it really looks nice when it's dried. Huh! I knew what I was doing. Okay. We got our tones masked out. So we're going to come back in now with a greenish brown. That's what I said. And I've got one in mind. I think it's going to be this either English uniform, I think will be our ticket. Or if you want to go something a little bit darker, I've got a color called refractive green. Which, no, actually it's not quite right. I think this is it. It's English uniform. It's like an olive green, tannish color. That's going to be our in-between color. Which I think will be really good. Ha! Dan Liu, thank you so much for popping in and saying that. And, yeah, we should be able to finish most of this guy during this session. Oh. Okay. Same deal as before. Put some paint on the thing. Oh wait, you know what? I should probably mix this first. Vortex mixer. I do also put steel balls in these paints to help with the mixing. So it's not just like, you know, me with my wrist hoping for the best. There's steel balls, there's a machine, there's all kinds of stuff. So I can use what I have. And we're going to be looking at, I'm going to take off my ring again, and we're going to look a little bit at the colors one more time. Okay. So, one more time, taking this away. I'm going to use this to hold it, so I'm not getting too much of my finger. Okay, so you've got that, like, especially over here in the light, you can tell. There's that warm, where's my knife? Here we go. So there's that warmer dark over here, and a cooler dark over there. So the dark section of the room, which I've already pre-painted that like dark blue color, that'll be the cool darks, and then the warm darks will be over here. It looks like you pretty aggressively go from the cool dark to that greenish brown color, like right away, and then over to white. So we're gonna apply a bunch of that greenish brown color, but we're gonna end up also painting over it again with that really, really light white. So, you know, these are important steps, but you are gonna end up painting over a lot of the stuff you already did. Bring back on. Paint. Looking looking gross. But you know what? That's okay. That's what we're here for. So this greenish brown is going to go over everything. And what I want is to kind of recreate a metal effect. Unfortunately, I don't have a reference sword to look at. But I mean, I'm pretty confident, you know, making it up as I go. Besides, if I'm wrong, who's going to tell me? My mom? Thicken that up just a little bit so I don't have to do so many layers. Yeah. So remember, the light parts had the red. The not light parts had the blue. So the light parts in red are going to get a lot more of this brown treatment than the blue. The blue is just going to have a little bit of like an aftershine. But the really, you know, serious highlighting is going to happen all over the red. And what I'm going to try and do is contour the shape. it's important to have some music you can really vibe to while you do this, because it does take a fair bit of focus. Oh, that reminds me, I can zoom in more. Give me a sec. Ugh. Okay, that's as far as my camera will let me go. For those who don't know, contouring just means following the shape of something. So if it's round like a circle, paint a circle. If it's pointed like a triangle, paint a triangle. Simple as that. When you contour your face and you're doing makeup, you're just copying the shape that you want. Either you're copying the shape of your face, or you're copying the shape that you want your face to look like. Gotta remember to put my hands more into the middle of the screen. Also, this is your first time here. First of all, welcome. Second, if you like what you're seeing, you can always find my stuff on YouTube. I do post there semi-regularly. It does take me a bit of time to do up intros. Okay, we're getting some shape out of our gold, which is great. Pretty soon it's going to be time to get into the super brights, because that's just what's demanded of us. Oh. Eventually I'd like to put together a Patreon where people could subscribe. And I do have one up, but I don't really know what people would want in it. So I'm not really sure what to do with it, you know? Now I've got some brown in where I want it to be. It's time to blast in some light because we do want this to be shiny and gold. So I'm pulling in some white. Ooh. Typhoon came back a little bit. And we're about to whack it with that white. If this seems intimidating, this step, just breathe. We will be coming back in and cleaning it up. For this part, I have to remember that there is light coming from below. So I have to give it a little bit more of that brightness. And come back in, and this time with a smaller brush. The same kind of dealio. Same colors even. But I want to like give it that comic book look. You know when you see like those lines. I'll just show you. It's a look that I like. So I'm going to try and recreate it here. Okay. We are looking very good. Just a little more details on this thing. The name I have forgotten again. Censer. This censer. That's what it's called. Okay. I'm also going to do myself a bit of a favor. I'm actually going to do a little bit of an outline. For this opposite. Great. Now then, more white, and we continue. We're basically working our way towards like pure white. That's the objective here. It's a bunch of layers, and we eventually get to white. You looking like gold yet? I certainly hope so. remember, when you're painting, if you've done a couple of strokes and nothing's coming off the brush, it means your brush is too dry. You need water. Alright. Last thing really to do is to hit it with actual white. Oh, hold on, I haven't done the arm guards really. Sorry, I'm the absolute worst for like saying, all right, and then the next step is this, and then I'm totally forgetting. Hey, here we go, have a whole other thing to do over here. think it's looking good. Then it's going to come in with the actual white. Which is, you're going to be surprised how much it pops. White is always kind of shocking that way. Oh, shit. Note to self, do not mix the white into the red. White over here. With water. Okay. Let's do it. Starting with the sword. Nope, that is too much water. You see what I mean, though, in terms of, like, covering up a lot of what you did before. That's just kind of how it is, how it is. I love this music, man. Just gets me so much in the mood to, like, do stuff like this. Super nerd out on the painting. I might come back in and make this more of that brownie color, because I don't think I need that much. This brush is a 3-0. And it's, and the consistency, I don't use any retardant. I just use, my handy dandy water bottle. Hold on, let me zoom out. My handy dandy water bottle, it's tap water. Sometimes I use these two. So this one here is this. It's not particularly fancy. It's like whatever you get from like your usual paint store. It's just a good medium, which is the it maintains a good body in your paint, but you get to like thin it out a little bit. And then this is the same kind of thing, but it's been pre-thinned by fancy paint companies. But the difference is like small. Let's be real, you can use both. I like to use this because it's cheap. I think it's what is it? I'm in Canada, so doesn't say. But I think it's $12 a bottle. And this is, yeah, $10.95 for, you know, for these two size bottles, the difference of $1. Yeah. And then it's just a matter of playing with your consistencies. But no matter what you do with a small brush, it's gonna dry out. There's nothing you can do. You just need to regularly be rehydrating your brush. Yeah. So something you can do for that, if you're interested, is I have a thing. Well, it's the contrast medium that that Games Workshop or Citadel or whatever, they sell that, and it's it works pretty nicely because what you can do is you can put a thin coat of that, and that has a retarding agent in it, and then you can paint over that and continue blending. I should warn you though, doing that method might strip the lower levels of paint, so you know, proceed with caution. Brown color we used earlier down, because I don't actually like the look of that blue in the bowl. I want it more, you know, full. Some of this. Just trying to close the gap. I don't want all the red gone, I just want a bunch of it gone. You know, I just realized I totally missed the back of the sword. Oh well. Stuff happens. Let's get keyed back in and keep on going. Because we're making really good progress. like, if you were just paying attention, I was, I think, painting for just a second or two, and then I already had to go back in and refill on paint. So I guess all I can say is, like, keep the areas that you're trying to blend small, so that you're not trying to cover a huge amount of surface area all in one go, because you're just, like, you know, there's just not enough time in the paint, especially not when it's like this small of a brush where air, you know, is trying to dry it out constantly. Okay, as is with the previous section, there is a point at which I have to say I'm done and I'm moving on. And that is, we're drawing very near to a point where I'm just like, we're good, this is enough, I can continue on. I'm going to do this censer a little bit. If I wasn't streaming, I would spend probably hours. And there are people who like specialize in just doing gold. And like, this is one guy, Flame On Miniatures. Oh my gosh, incredible. But there's, you know, diminishing returns. But remember what I said about how long I've been painting for? I've been painting for like, I want to say 16 or 18 years. Something like that. Something in that ballpark. How about you? How long have you been painting for? I also studied like art before, you know, in school, so had a bit of an up there. Since the end of the pandemic? Nice. What got you started? Was it oh shit. Damn it! Oh. Sometimes you make mistakes, you get paint where you don't want it, and that's okay. You fix it. And fix. It's like it never even happened. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Well, I mean, painting is a heck of a hobby. It'll keep you busy. And you can spend so long, you know, learning everything. I was talking about this with my friend Irene, who I've had on the stream as like a call-in friend. And we were talking about like going to museums. And for me, when I went to a museum to go and, you know, just looking at the old masters, I was really focused in on like how the old painters, like Vermeer, were painting gold and painting metallics. And at a time when, you know, metallic paints aren't an option. Because I found it really interesting. Okay, I'm stopping there. Yeah, no, this is an excellent outlet for that. The back of the sword. I'm just gonna drop in some light brown because no one's gonna see and no one's really gonna know. And it'll be good enough that like someone who's looking at it really, really briefly will not even bat an eye. Alright. If you don't tell, I won't tell. Sort of thing. I'm painting this. I've been painting for a long time, and my friends have regularly told me I should put what I do on stream. Make videos about the models that I paint. I usually do them for D&D, or I also do Warhammer. Although I'm not doing Warhammer videos because Warhammer or Games Workshop has been involved in a bunch of lawsuits regarding creators, specifically creators who 3D print, and I am one of them. Case in point. And anyways, they were saying, hey, you should really start streaming this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And so yeah, I've been on Twitch, I've been on YouTube, I've been on Instagram, and I'm like trying to build up a bit of a following. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to figure out what I can do with this talent I have. Alright. The last time I had a whack at this model, when I got really pissed off at the hand, I was doing red on the tentacles and on the cloak thing. So I'm going to do that same red. Starting with the same red I used before, just because I have it on the palette, and then just working up because it's a cloth. And I might try and put in some runes or writing or symbols, I don't know. We'll see where it gets us. First things first, switching back to a bigger brush. This one's a 0. And yeah, starting with Basecoat. Once again, this is burnt red from Vallejo. Solid color if there ever was one. Yeah, I'm lemon courage on everything. I try to keep it consistent. So lemon_courage. I don't have TikTok set up yet, but I've been told to check that out too. I mean, I've used TikTok, I just haven't posted on it. And honestly, the biggest learning for me has been getting the camera to work. getting all this stuff to like freehanding. That's something I haven't done any videos on yet, but it's something I can do a video on for sure. It is these skills that I'm showing here. If you haven't already got these down solid, practice these, and freehanding will come easier to you. I like to say, painting, you are just drawing with a brush. And yeah, and like practicing building up layers, like what we did just now with the non-metallic metal, like that. Practicing that is gonna really drill in some of the foundations you're gonna need for freehanding like a proper paint thing, because freehanding is gonna be the exact same deal. You are painting layer upon layer. You know, if it's a figure you're painting, you're doing a dark coat that's like the silhouette of the figure, and then you're building up like the lighter layers on top. Yeah, be ready for that kind of thing, because that's how I would approach it as well. Alright, switching from the dark burnt red to my favorite color, blood red from AK. Seriously, best color. This bottle is almost empty. I got a refill right here. That, splash on a little more water on the palette because kind of used up a lot of it before. And I'm honestly just jumping right in with a small brush. It's the same 3-0 that I was using before. Just because like we're working on a small surface area, so there's no need for a big brush. Once again, I'm making a little shade of, you know, my color 1 and color 2, because I'm not just going to jump into color 1. I've done a bit of a faux pas here. You're never supposed to let the paint get all the way up to the barrel. And this is pretty dang close. Close enough that if my teacher was here, he would slap me. More red as we move into the full highlight. But yeah, freehanding can be a lot of effort. It's it can also be a lot of fun. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but I can kind of see there's like a bit of the red thing that I can't quite hit. Or this is a very tricky angle. So I'm just going to slap it with some of the red paint. Alright. coat number 2 of the red. This coat is a little bit thicker than the previous one. It's not intentional, it's just an observation. I realize I may have needed to do the chest piece gold, but if I have to, I can, revisit all that. I'm going to throw in some white and make like a pinky color. Just so that I got some more highlight. Oh, that's too much white. Always remember to add water, keep your consistency. That is a good enough red for me. Since I realized that the chest piece is not done yet, I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And none of this is really in that green color, which means none of it's really that bright. So I'm just going to treat it like it's the Coles kind of gold and just jump right into the light brown, or dark brown, sorry. I see a bunch of chains and stuff on this guy's torso as well. I'm going to paint right over those and come back and hit them with the bright red after I've done the gold underneath. Because trying to like paint it and then avoid it afterwards, that's just going to make me crazy. That's too thin. I've mudded in the brown. I'm going to start doing that light brown with a tiny brush because this is a messy area to paint. Messy not because of a lot of different colors, but because of a lot of different textures. And that can be a bit of a problem. Just double check my music, ensure that I'm still on the same guy. Thanks. Yep, okay. I did a post a while ago when I was listening to my music, and like Spotify had wandered off to some random artist who didn't have a free use policy. Unlike Carl Casey, who's the best guy ever, just because of that. And got a copyright warning immediately. Oh, man. These are some small details. That's alright. Tackle them all one at a time. Because this is so small, like so detailed, I don't need to do all the layering junk I was doing before. Because it's too small to see any of that. It'd be a waste of time. So I'm just going straight into that, like, bright light color. Ugh, so much detail. So, Dan Liu. I hope it's okay to just call you Dan Liu, or DL, or whatever. What kind of stuff do you usually paint? I heard you mention freehand, and that generally is associated with Warhammer. But I'd love to know what else you're working on. D&D stuff, some Warhammer stuff? Sweet. Are you a DM or a player? Ah, nice. Yeah, I've been told to get into Trench Crusade. I think this might have been a proxy model for something from Trench Crusade. I'm not entirely sure, but I have a suspicion. Nice. When you say a rave scene, like what do you mean? Like neon lights? Nice, 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 nice. Okay. Got some of the gold elements in. I just gotta go back in with the super white, which is just what I'm calling when you paint with plain white. And get those baked in nicely. Okay, I'm picking up a bit of red from the water. So I'm just gonna make some fresh, pour a little bit more white somewhere else, and water from somewhere else. And clean the brush. Yeah, do you know, what is it? Heresy for Heretics AU or something like that. They're an Instagram channel, and they do specifically like that super neon, like strong color shifting from like blue to pink. Or so basically, what you're saying is you're painting in what is it? Slanesh colors. Yeah, you should check it out. They are awesome. Also, forgetting that, like, the transitions between colors that stab your eyes out, as you're saying, it's not actually wet blending you need to do. It's glazing, which is a different skill. But glazing is gonna, like, that's what you're looking for. Wet blending is for a specific, like, look. And even then, like, it's tedious as hell to do on acrylic paints. Usually you do it with oil paints. But like I said, you can use that. Can you say there? Oh yeah, Heresy for Heretics AU. Let me double check. Heresy for Heretics AU. Yeah, that's it. Here, I'll do you a favor. I'll drop a link in the chat. If my computer will let me. Ugh! Son of a bitch. Heresy for Heretics AU. That's what you're looking for. They do really cool stuff. And as you can imagine, it's an Australian guy, and he just really leans into those like wild color styles. Yeah, I can do a freehand something. Actually, I have a model coming up I'll be able to do a freehand on, if you're interested. It's this. I haven't attached his head yet, but it's this kind of big knight thing with like lots of business going on. But these things in here, these are supposed to be like shields from fallen soldiers, and each of them can have their own banner, which could be a really fun opportunity to do some freehand. Same with on the cloak, like doing a little bit of like heraldry on the cloak. I can do that. This guy is, hold on. Where's his head? I know I have his head somewhere. Ah! He is from Bestiaria Miniatures, and yeah, I've done a couple of Bestiarium's videos before, or sorry, models before, and he does, again, really fun stuff. Also, back to the painting, I'm gonna switch back to the red. And he does, like, I subscribe to these creators on my mini factory, and then every month I get stuff from them. And like every once in a while you get stuff that's like, you know, just really cool looking things. One that I think you would probably enjoy, this would be a lot of fun in Trench Crusade. Probably translate well. This is one I did a while ago. It was actually the first video I posted on YouTube, I think. I called him the Worm Monk. And it was like kind of grindcore, like, you know, faces stitched onto leather, super bloody, gory looking stuff. It's also from Bestiarium. Okay, where was I? Red. I'm doing red. Yeah, I gotta give Trench Crusade a try. I've been doing Warhammer for ages, and like, I can't exactly say why on stream, but I can't paint the models I have from Warhammer currently. But Warhammer is where I started. Okay. How are we doing for time? 6:30? Oh, we got heaps of time. Great. Okay, we managed to get our gold in, and a little bit of the detailing on the necklaces. It is a little bit messy still, but that just has to do with, like, there's so much detail happening in the little chest piece. So I'm more focused on, like, does it read as, oh, that's more of the torso that you're seeing as opposed to like whatever else. I know there's a belt in there hidden there too, but there's already enough going on. I don't need to add to the crazy. So what's left to do? The base. There's these little keys down here that I still need to do, and then of course this object that's going to be producing some light. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll do the face and the tentacles, but I won't, like, I'm just going to do them, oh no, I'll do the tentacles fully, but the, yeah, the face is going to be white, because I like white, I just like the plain white, you know, faces, like White Mask Vare, if you ever played Elden Ring. Plus they're fun. And very straightforward. It's basically everything we did in the with the non-metallic metal, but like half the steps. All right. We already have a gray that we're working with. Just gonna go ahead and loop that in again. Cool. Should I give the smoke a base coat of... No, it's fine, because I'm going to do it after the lightning. The smoke will be the last thing I do. Get me some white. Mix it in with that gray. Get myself a light gray. Water, thin it out, draw the eyebrows, draw separately a forehead, a big dot is okay, draw the cheek, dot the nose, draw the other cheek, I'll do a bit of the chin. Yeah. Rinse and repeat. Add more white. Thin it out. Eyebrows. Forehead dot. Eyebrow number 2. Nose dot. Cheek. Chin. More white. Thin out. Eyebrows. Forehead lines this time. Second eyebrow. Nose dot, and now here's the part that's super fun. Make sure you don't have much paint on your brush. Find the eye. Just give it a little touch. That, I can zoom in a bunch. That's about as much of a face as I'm getting out of this guy. But I'll come back in with even more white. Thin it out. The other cheek. Alright. That's a face. It's not a happy face, but it's a face. Oh. Zoom back out. Okay. What's left to do? Tentacles, base, and the smoke. I'm gonna actually do the base first. So I'm gonna mix that dirty brown and that gray because I don't feel like pouring on a new color for the skulls. Dirty brown over here, and gray over here. And thin it out. Great. That'll do fine for our skull base color. Basically all you want is a brown that's desaturated. That's it. And then for the candles, we're just gonna make it. Yeah, the plan is to finish this in one session. That's what I usually do. There's some models where I did multiple sessions. And technically this is the second session for this one, but that's only because of me getting pissed off at the model falling apart. Which is really more of a me problem than the model problem. But skulls are great because, first of all, no one's really looking for skulls. They just want to know if there's definition or not. If there is, then they move on. And definition can be classified as, did you use two colors? Very good. And now, let's do this. Realistically, I should actually be using a small brush for this. Not a big fat brush. Love to hear it. Okay. I love this music. I'm so excited. Alright. Skulls sorted. Pretty happy with them. Now I just need to throw in some stuff on the candles. Actually, I think I'm going to make them yellow. And I think I've got a good yellow around here. Yeah. AK golden yellow. Big fan. Honestly, most of AK's paints I really like. They do a really good job. Hey, come back, brush. Okay. Yellow, a little bit of that beige to cool it down, and some white. Which I'm gonna need more of. Great, candle color. Oh, actually, you know what would be really fun? Red candles. Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. You know what? I've talked myself into it. We're doing red candles. Because that's so much cooler. do you think about that? Red candles on the base. I think that is working for me. Get some little yellow candle wicks, and then we can bust out the airbrush and revisit this whole lighting situation. So for wicks, it's just yellow. That same golden yellow I mentioned before will do just fine. While we're at it, I'm probably going to bring in some of that yellow to the censer, seeing as how we're going to be bringing in some object source lighting. Three colors. That's really all you need to do. You pick three and you stick to them. Like, I understand that my gold had, like, you know, warm and cool and whatever, but it's still gold. It's like one of the three materials. I've got basically leather, gold, and then random red stuff. Like, whenever I'm like, okay, I've got a random element I need to bring some attention to, it's going to be red. And that's because it helps bringing it all together. And you just pick three. Stick to three. If you want to do a fourth, like I'm going to have to do a fourth, make it a mix of the two. So the tentacles are going to be red with a little bit of yellow tinting to make them pop a little bit more. But it's still just the three colors. Gold, leathery, whatever, and red. Even the skulls are kind of leathery colored. That's my thing on it. On keeping an eye on your colors. All right. So for lighting, we're gonna do this in a couple of steps. I seem to have leaned into this kind of cadmium color. Well, maybe even lighter. Maybe I'm more into this like light orange color. I'll probably go with the cadmium because it works better with my color scheme. But what's going to happen is I'm going to come in with an airbrush using white. And then I'm going to hit it with white, and then a bit of the cadmium, and then white again. And I'll show you how that all works. But it'll be really cool when it's done. Alright. Give me a sec while I get the airbrush set up. The good one this time. This is our airbrush. I need a glove. Because when you're testing color, nothing beats spraying on your hand. And it's much easier to do that if you're protected. And I need this. My spray plate. Okay, fine. Go over there. So if you were here earlier in my stream, you saw me already doing the spray with the donkey, or what I call donkey. And I don't need a lot in here. Missed what? The description of the airbrush? I'm using the good airbrush. That's all you need to know. Oh, you mean the first part? The when I yeah. So when the stream started, I primed. Like, however long I've been going for, I started the stream by priming. We've been going 0 to hero today. No, I was saying that I refer to my other airbrush as Donkey because it's the hard worker. I give it like primer to use. You know, it's a great airbrush, but it does the dirty work. This is not Donkey. This is the Iwata Eclipse. Definitely not Donkey. That should be a good mix. I don't know how well you can see. Yeah, this is an excellent airbrush, but it's not the one you put the shit into. You put like the you put the nasty stuff into. Here, I'll show it to you. Oh. If my headphones will reach, which they should. This. That's Donkey. Donkey is amazing. We love Donkey. He's such a good airbrush. But this is not a high performance or high detail airbrush. It's like, goes for like $70 or so. But what's nice is that it's got the gun shape to it, which means your hand's in a much more ergonomically comfortable setup. Here, I'm gonna zoom out. It's a much nicer setup to have like this, because then you're just working like this the whole time, as opposed to like doing the finger wiggle when you're trying to prime a bunch of stuff. Alright, back in. That should be good. Just make sure you got... Oh yeah, okay. We're ready to do it. So OSL, I need to keep in mind that the light is going a bunch of different directions. Here, let me put this aside for a sec and grab my knife. So the light's coming from this thing, and it's going to bounce up to about the hip and down to the feet. I also have all these little candles. So what's going to happen is there's going to be like a ring of light around the bottom, and then a bit of bouncing around this area. I am not really touching this back area. It's just the front. And the idea is that I'm spraying enough that I can see the light, but not enough that I'm like dousing it all in white, you know? Here we go. Looks like my paint's a little thin. Okay. Great. That's enough. Don't have to go any more than that. That's plenty. As for the candles in the bottom, I'm just going to do little bits, one spot at a time. They don't actually give off that much light. Great. Got our areas that have a nice bit of light. Now I'm just going to pour this out, and I'm just going to do something called a spray through, where I don't actually clean the airbrush. I'm just going to spray out the rest of the paint and then jump into the next paint, because I think it's going to be a similar enough kind of thing. Back on the vortex mixer. And we are back into getting some paint in here. I'll put this so you can see. Ah! Stay. 2 drops of plenty. Make sure you thin it out with airbrush thinner. It works differently than water. It is worth it to get this. I put in 2 drops, so I'm going to put in 4 drops of this. 5. Grab myself a Q-tip. Just to give it a nice mix. Little test on the hand. Still got some white in there. There we go. Beautiful, look at that. That is the light that we want. So now, coming back exactly where I was before, just very gently, because I don't want to overpower the whole thing. And then the same here. For the candles. Okay. Looking good. Looking like he's holding his thing and it's actually making him like colored the way that he should be. I can come back in and I can make this thing look a little bit darker. I don't know exactly. Oh, you mean the pressure of my compressor? 50 psi, but that's like standard for all compressors. As for, is it standard to do white before? Yes. There's a reason for that. So you see on my hand, the orange spot? I'm going to do the same spot over here where I don't have any orange, or any white. See how much different that is? It still gets the color in, sure, but the fall off from the center, where you've got a saturated point of color, to the edges is way faster. Whereas over here, it's pretty even. Like it even reaches beyond where the original dot was. That's the best way to put it. Like you want to be supporting your colors with white first, especially if they're neon colors, which this one isn't. But if it was, you know, you'd know. All right, I'm done with my airbrush. We're gonna be coming back in, carving back in the stuff that should not be orange, which is also a little bit why I didn't care too much about the detail of this thing. And then we're gonna give this white smoke a look. We're going to do these tentacles up, and then we're gonna be honestly pretty happy. So cleaning, in case you don't already know, I'll do it right now. 3 steps. First of all, you want to get yourself some airbrush cleaner. I keep mine in this little bottle. I got a big bottle over there up in my window. First, put in some airbrush cleaner. Grab another Q-tip. You will go through thousands of these. And just mix it up. Just get right in there. You are brushing its teeth. You are scrubbing it. Put that aside, you're going to need it again. Grab your jar, dump it. Come back in with the dry side. Rub again. That's step 1 done. Step 2, a little bit. And then you're going to cover this with your finger. And you're going to do a backwash to get the rest of the pigment out. And then you're going to bring your jar over and dump that. There's not enough pigment in there to actually block the whole thing up, so it's just good to do that. Step 3. This, and then I can't show it because I can't move it, because I just can't. But trust me, actually, I guess if you don't have one, you can just do this. Spray through. So you just like spray it all out into the jar. I'm not going to do that here because it's going to get on my camera and someone's going to yell at me. But that's the idea. I've got a little jar thing that I use to spray into safely. And you just spray it until it's empty. You just let it run. If you're worried about, what I do recommend is like, as you're doing the final spray, rock your thing back and forth a little bit. Just so that you can clean the actual path that the needle travels in the airbrush. Do that, do those things, your airbrush will love you. Oh, get back in there. Alright, done with the airbrush. Yeah, it will block. And then you got a whole other problem. I don't usually keep my airbrush attached to the hose. I usually just hang it up. Except for Donkey. Donkey can stay attached because, you know, it's Donkey. Alright. We are pretty close to done with this paint job, honestly. This can go away. I haven't lost any detail of like something that I really, really wish I had. I've got the shadows and the lighting that I wanted. I still have this shiny gold. So I'm pretty happy with how this all worked out. First thing, I'm gonna grab a brush and I'm going back in with that cool blue color. Because I'm working on the gold parts, I'm just going to reclaim a little bit of this censer. Oh, wait. Sorry, I don't make a lip on. Yeah, I've had to tear down my airbrushes a couple of times. It's okay. It happens to the very best of us. process as before. We're going to make it look really, really light with that light beige color. I'm going to cheat and throw in a bit of yellow. And of course some white. Yep, go have fun feeding the baby. And check me out on YouTube. And I'm on Twitch pretty regularly. Send me a follow. That way you'll catch me. It was great hanging out. I'm going to push through and finish this model. Loving how that looks. Just loving it. I could come back in and do some dry brushing in like a dark gray, but for now, that's great. That is really great. Trying to make those tentacles look all red. Again, sticking to the color palette. Oh, this is such good finishing music. I hope I can finish it in this song. Probably won't, but oh, what a great vibe. Okay. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Oh. Very, very close. Oh yeah. Maybe making sure that I can stay in frame. I know I'm focusing on all that, but the whole point of this is to be able to put it on YouTube later. Can't see it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm done. I just need to put a coat of black around the rim. Oh, I was gonna do a dusting of a darker gray. I'll do that. That's easy. That is easy peasy. Okay. There we are. Woo! Man. Alright. Can't believe we did it in this time. Let me just grab some black. I shouldn't even use this time. Usually I'm using black a fair bit, but I didn't really feel the need. I am also actually going to very quickly and very loosely just It's the final stage, and it feels great. Ah. Gorgeous. As is, I suppose. Or here, I'll stick it on this thing, and then I can twist this around in my hand, and then that'll be the promo. That works fine for me. Let's see if we can do this. All right. That's it. This is the model. I'm going to do a promo shot with the thing on the slow turning table. But our corrupted priest, corrupt indeed, standing on a weird bed of candles, looking very spooky. Thank you all for joining me. I'll have the video up in a few days. I know Tuesday coming up, I'll have the video coming out for for this guy. But this is already out. I can't remember. I think it is this one that's next. But I have, this isn't the painted one. I have an actual one that's painted. And yeah, I'll see you then. Until then, you know, keep on painting. Everyone keep it up. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye.